Da, da, da.
Talking
pictures. Talking pictures.
So today, my first video is going to be about the piece that actually gave me the idea to start this channel. So I was scrolling through Instagram and up popped this piece by an artist that I absolutely adore. I have been following his work for perhaps 10 years. We showed together on an online art gallery called New Blood Art. At the time he was doing still lifes and of plants and stuff, and they really stood out to me, and I thought that there was something really special about him. I don't know if it's significant, but he is a self-taught artist. I believe he studied something like architecture or medicine or something kind of useful and intelligent, and then he's obviously chosen to do art, which is incredible. I don't know if he's painted his whole life, but maybe he decided not to study it. I'm not sure. This isn't some educational, historical video about his work. It is just about my personal reaction to this one piece that I saw. So the piece I want to talk about today is called Med on the Vale. I think it was painted this year, which is 2026. It's 40 times 50 centimeters, so it's about that size. It's a landscape piece. It's in oil on linen. I think Rob always paints on linen. I don't know if I've said his name yet, but his name is Rob Lyon or Rob Lyon. I don't know how you say it. So yeah, I believe Rob always paints on linen because you can see the texture, that beautiful texture in all of his paintings. So instead of sort of slathering the paint on and being quite expressive and thick with it, which is quite a sort of popular way to paint at the moment, he almost stains the fabric with the paint, and this has become more exaggerated as the years have gone by. So he has a sort of barely there approach. Some recent paintings that he showed in Edinburgh, they were all sort of very much soft stained fabric, very, very subtle, very, very beautiful. But as well as being subtle, they're quite dramatic as well, because the colours, incredible use of colour, incredible use of colour theory. So yeah, that's all I know about him. I also know that I think he was born in the sort of north or Midlands of England, but he now lives in East Sussex, which is at the south of England, kind of near Brighton, I think. And sort of above Brighton and that coastline, there's this national park called the South Downs, and I think a lot of his work is about that park. He paints a lot of landscapes they seem to be based on walks through that national park. This again might be wrong. This is just what I've gathered from following him from Instagram. So yeah, so let's just look at this painting, and first I'm going to describe it, and then I'm going to talk about why I like it, what drew me in, what I think the story's about, and all of that. So I can see it appears to be in the landscape. There is a bottom part of the painting and there's a top, which is the sky and the ground. Very, very basic composition, but really suggestive. It seems to be nighttime, and it's either just night before it gets fully dark, or it is sort of early morning before that dawn comes in, because there seems to be some light in the sky, which I absolutely adore, and I would love to be able to paint like that, but paint that moment, but I just haven't ever been able to. So he does this really well here. We've got like a dusty kind of dusky blue black colour for both. The ground is almost black. There's a bath in the middle, a little pool, a bath, like a big cup of water. It looks a bit like an ice bath. So I don't know if it's related to that. The water is very full and very blue, and it seems to be reflecting the lighter part of the sky. There's also a moon in the background, or a sun, that's kind of like a bit of a warmer colour, so he seems to have mixed kind of a bit of that pink or red in there to give that warmth. And looking at it, that sort of links directly to the water in that bath in that pool. Also, sort of squinting my eyes at the piece, there's a glow beyond the ground. So we appear to be looking at like some sort of moment that's within like quite a stark, empty landscape, because there's nothing on the ground, there's nothing at all. But sort of beyond, there's this little light on that horizon line, which makes me think that there's like a town or city beyond. So I'm just picturing that we're somewhere really remote, and just over the hill there is like a whole city or a whole town, and I think they're all sleeping and they have no idea what's happening here in this moment that we're in. So we're sort of presented with this bath. It feels a little bit ritualistic, perhaps symbolic. I think in tarot, for example, the water represents emotions in cups. So it could be sort of some emotional thing. The moonlight in the water, that's kind of like quite a spiritual concept of like cleansing yourself, bathing in the moonlight. It could also be like a little bucket of water, could have something in it. It definitely suggests like abundance or life or a gift or something positive. I'm not sure what the stick is that's coming out of the bath or coming behind it, but the way it sort of reaches into the sky, it kind of almost suggests like a sort of a tree shape. So it's like the bucket kind of like is the sort of the roots, the centre, the earthiness. And then surrounding this pool, we call it a pool, bath, we've got, at first I thought these were like street lights. Looking at it just before I started this, it sort of began to make me think of figures, and I'm thinking like the nativity type situation where you've got like the three wise men on the left, because they're sort of upright and regal, and they have the light sort of like a crown kind of linking to the sky, sort of maybe like a spiritual connection to the sky. And then on the right, the figures are sort of haunched over, like bent over in a sort of as a sign of respect or something. So it's almost like they're sort of presenting themselves to these figures on the left, like kind of like bowing down, saying like, you know, I present you this, you know, that kind of thing. But they are shadows or they're lights. It's so layered. And that's why I love it. So yeah, so they're figures to me right now, but then when I sort of step back, close my eyes and look at it again, then I see 3 street lights with kind of dramatic lights coming down like they would, and like they would in real life. You don't get like in a comic book where it's like pure yellow coming out of the light. You get different tones and different sort of shades of yellow depending what the light is reflecting off. So I think that's a really clever, playful way of doing that, with the different stripes and the different dashes and the different shades of sort of more warm colours. So you've got quite a blue background. It's all blue. It's all like the same sort of blue, which is like an indigo or a Prussian blue with a black in it. Bit of a sort of King's blue, ultramarine, warmer blue. So it's all blue basically, and then you've got this pattern sticking out randomly. It could be fabric, it could be a privacy screen around the bath, it could be a imaginary force field, it could be energy, it could be light, it could be figures, it could be sort of a different dimension, like a gateway into a different dimension, and then there's this crack in the middle that reaches up into the heavens. But that sort of fabric screen, the figures, the light, whatever it is, it's all very warm. It's all very pink and orange, and very sort of white. So you've got this contrast between that cold background and that warm middle section. and very clever and subtle use of complementary colours, so that the opposite of blue on the colour wheel is orange. So you've got this sort of slightly off colour match where you've got the pink and the red, and together they're sort of quite orangey. And then you have a bit of green on the right, which is next to the red, and they're opposite each other on the colour wheel. And then you sort of got this behind all of that, like a yellow. So the yellow is opposite purple on the colour wheel, and there's no purple, but then you've got the sort of the blue and the red, which sort of make purple in a sort of unmixed way. So it's very cohesive, and it's very theoretical. It's very based on colour theory. It's very high contrast colours that are quite jarring together, but they somehow are harmonious as well. So yeah, really clever painting, really draws me in. So many things to think about, like what is going on, what is the piece about, why is there a bath up a hill? Maybe we're at the bottom of the hill as well, because it's sort of the background, the hill seems to sort of escalate on the left hand side, and then it sort of flattens out on the right. So that makes my imagination think, like, what is happening beyond the painting? Like, what is beyond that hill? What is up the hill? And what is over there? What is behind me? I feel like behind me is more just totally remote. Like, I've been walking for miles, and it's like a gift in front of me. I've been walking through the night. I maybe got lost. I stumbled upon this weird apparition of a private enclosed bath, maybe a bath for me to wash myself, or it could be a place where I can drink water. It's just a place of nourishment, basically, and it's private and it's safe and it's warm. And beyond that is a sign of life, is a sign of a city. It's a sign of joining people again. And yeah, a lot of his paintings they're always quite odd, offbeat compositions that summon a feeling of being in the landscape and being isolated. But there's always like a path or some sort of human element to it that makes you feel connected. And that's actually, for me, living in Scotland now, I find the landscape here quite overwhelming, because you can get lost here and you can come into quite a lot of danger, because the mountains, the hills, the woodlands, it's all quite extreme, and the weather is extreme, and you could wander off and never see anyone for a couple of days. Whereas England it's more small and contained and connected, and you have this sort of you have these areas of like wildness surrounded by towns. So it's like an illusion of wildness. And I feel like this piece is sort of playing a bit with that idea. Street lights, figures, connection, disconnection, remoteness, cities. And if he does live in a town somewhere in Sussex, which I don't know if he does, but if he does, and that he has the South Downs nearby, then I imagine it feels like that thing of like escaping into the wild and then coming back home, within an hour, I imagine. It's not that far. So yeah, that's what I'm getting, and that could change again if I look at it tomorrow and I see something else. But yeah, really beautiful piece, and not surprised at all, because his paintings are just getting better and better every year, every month. I think he's represented by a gallery in Canada. Totally missed the boat with buying a piece. Absolutely adore it, but very much enjoying seeing him push the boundaries of what's expected of him, and he keeps coming up with this incredible work. So yeah, definitely recommend checking him out. Rob Lyon, not sure how you say it, but yeah, piece Med on the Vale, and don't know where it is, don't know if it's going to be an exhibition, but there you go, that's my video, and thank you for watching.
Talking pictures.